It's dawn. The first pale fingers of light creep over the horizon and into my sanctuary, this small, forgotten temple by the sea. And as the light touches my face, I feel them stir. 1,000 tiny muscles flex, scales rustle against scales, and 50 forked tongues flicker out to taste the salt-tinged air. My hair is waking up. I am Medusa, and this is the story of my life, in my head. It's a story that begins with a curse, continues with a biological marvel, and ends with a loneliness so profound it echoes. So settle in. Let's start at the very beginning. It didn't start with the snakes. It's important you know that. I was born a mortal woman, a priestess in Athena's temple. My hair was my one vanity, I admit it. My mother would brush it for hours, telling me it shone like spun gold, like a river of sunlight. It was soft, and it was mine. Then came the god, Poseidon. He saw me, and he took me. Here, in this very temple, the place that was meant to be my refuge, my sacred duty. When Athena found us, her fury was a cold, terrible thing, but it wasn't directed at her uncle, the god. It was directed at me, at my desecrated temple, at my vanity. She stood before me, her gray eyes like storm clouds, and her voice was the crack of lightning. "You who loved your beauty," she hissed, "shall be beautiful no more. You who drew the eye shall now turn all who look upon you to stone." I felt a change begin, a horrible crawling sensation on my scalp. It wasn't pain, not at first. It was a deep, cold itch, a feeling of roots burrowing deep, of things coiling and multiplying. I reached up, and where my soft golden hair had been, my fingers met scales. Cold, dry, and alive. They moved under my touch. A tiny head, no bigger than my thumbnail, rose from my temple and blinked at me with slit-pupilled eyes. I screamed, and the sound that came out of my mouth was echoed by 100 tiny hisses from my own head. I was no longer just Medusa. I was a monster. Now, let's talk about them, because they aren't just a curse, a static horror. They are living creatures. And if we're going to do a biological breakdown, as you asked, we have to look at them as a part of my body, a complex and demanding organ system unlike any other. First, the species. They are all vipers. Specifically, I believe they are a type of asp common to these shores. Why? Because they are born live, not from eggs. And believe me, that's a mercy. I can't imagine... well, anyway. Their scales are a mix of glossy black, deep emerald, and bronze, which shimmer when they catch the light. They're beautiful in their own way. The biology of it is what fascinates and exhausts me. They are connected to me, deeply. A complex network of nerves and blood vessels runs from my brain down my neck and into each individual snake. This means I feel what they feel. When they are cold, I get a chill that no cloak can warm. When the sun is high and they bask on my head, I feel a pleasant, drowsy warmth. When one is injured, it's like a shard of glass driven into my skull. They have a will of their own, too. They are not simply hair that I can command. Their instincts are their own. They are constantly tasting the air, sensing the world through their forked tongues, and, most incredibly, through the pit organs on their faces. They see the world in heat. I have learned to understand their language. A slow, steady flicker of tongues means they are curious, relaxed. A sudden jerky movement, a flattening of their heads, and a unified sharp hiss, danger. They will strike at anything they perceive as a threat to me or to themselves. A bird that flies too close, a lizard that scampers across the stones near my feet. Their fangs are hollow, connected to venom sacs that are also connected to me. The venom is a part of my chemistry now. When they are agitated, I can taste the venom in the back of my own throat, bitter and metallic. And they need to eat. This is the most intimate part of our biology. I cannot simply go to a market and buy a dozen mice. Their food must come from me. I have to consume food for them. Goats, mostly, that wander too close. I will kill one with my hands, with a stone, and as I eat the flesh, the nutrients are processed by my body, and a special oil is secreted from the base of each snake's follicle. They drink this oil. They feed on my very life force. A successful hunt means a full belly for us all, a feeling of contentment that hums through my entire being. A period of starvation means they grow weak, lethargic, and I feel a gnawing, desperate hunger that is 100 times worse than my own. Caring for them is my only occupation. I must find water not just for myself, but to pour over my head so they can drink. I must find sunny spots to sit and let them warm their cold-blooded bodies. When they shed their skin, it's an ordeal. It starts with their eyes turning a milky blue, and for days my vision is blurred. They become irritable and restless. Then the shedding begins. They rub their noses against the rough stone of my temple, splitting the old skin, and then, one by one, they writhe free, emerging brighter, their patterns more vivid. It's an itch I cannot scratch, a tingling all over my scalp that drives me to a quiet madness until it's done. So how does one live like this? How does a woman become a monster and find a way to exist? My world has shrunk to the size of this temple and the stretch of beach before it. The snakes have seen to that. You see, their eyes are not just for show. The curse Athena placed on me works through them. When I look at a living thing and they look with me, the petrification is activated. It's a combined gaze. If I were to close my eyes, and somehow will all of them to close theirs too, I could probably walk among men, but that's impossible. Their instincts are to look, to watch. So I'm a prisoner of my own head. I can only go out at night. Under the cover of darkness, when living things are scarce, the snakes are calmer. The heat of the day is gone and their world is muted. Then I can walk the shoreline. The cool sand between my toes, the salt spray on my skin, it feels almost normal. But I still have to be careful. A fisherman caught in a storm, a stray dog, I hear their heartbeat first, a thumping rhythm that my snakes pick up instantly. Their heads all swivel, their tongues work frantically, and I have to turn and flee before they lock their gaze. Loneliness is the constant. It's a physical weight. I watch families on distant hillsides, shepherds with their flocks, lovers walking hand in hand. I remember what it was like to be touched, a hug from my mother, the casual brush of a friend's hand. Now, the only touch on my skin is the flicker of snake tongues, a sensation that is neither warm nor loving, just investigative. The snakes are my only companions. In the long, silent hours, I talk to them. I tell them about the sky, about the clouds, about the dreams I used to have. They listen in their way, their heads tilted, their gaze unblinking. They don't understand, of course, but the sound of my own voice is a comfort. People come here sometimes, heroes, young men full of bravado who have heard the legends. They think I am a monster to be slain, a trophy to be won. They clank into my temple, swords drawn, shields raised, and my poor snakes, who were just dozing in the afternoon sun, are terrified. They rise up, they hiss, they bare their fangs, and through our shared gaze, the man's eyes meet mine for just a second. I see the life freeze in them. I see the flesh harden, the color drain as he turns from flesh and blood to cold gray stone. It's over in an instant, and I am left with another statue, another silent reminder of what I am. I don't want to turn them to stone. I want to tell them to go away, to leave me in peace, but they never listen. They only see the monster. Sometimes I touch the statues, their cold stone faces, frozen in a moment of terror. I wonder about their lives, their mothers, their loves. I talk to them too. They are better listeners than the sneaks. They cannot judge me. So this is my life, a cycle of sun and shed, of hunger and hunt, of watching the world from a distance. I am a creature of myth, a monster of legend, but in here, in the quiet moments, I am just a woman with a very complicated, very deadly, and very lonely life on top of her head. The sun is setting now. The snakes are growing heavy.